Hi everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to do lace nails using real lace. And so first, let's go over some of the things that you will need. You need a base coat, two coats of polish. You're also going to need a brush-on glue. This is the kind of glue that I got, and I actually found it at Sally's. You're also going to need a gel for extra not strength, but to seal it better. So I got this at Sally's as well, and because it has to be cured, this is also the second step to it. You need a pair of scissors. Any size would be fine. I chose a small size so that it could be more precise. You also need a nail file, one with the soft side and one with the very gritty side that's made for acrylic nails. Also a clipper, preferably a toenail clipper would be best. And also you need a toothpick. So I worked on these all night. Well, not really all night. It just took me a while because I was watching a movie at the same time with my husband, but they don't take very long if you cut out the fabric initially. And I just picked up some black lace from my grandmother's house actually, because she used to make clothes and panties and stuff, so she had a lot of this laying around. But you could choose any color that you want, any base color that you like, it doesn't matter. Okay, so starting off, I did a test try on a false nail, and I figured out what I did like about it and different things that I didn't like about the method, and then I tried it on my own hand. So I perfected the way that I did it before I prepared this tutorial for you all. Let's get started. So on your nails, you want to do your base coat and you want to do 2 coats of color. Now the color I chose was Sand in My Suit by OPI, and it's just a nude color that has a little shine to it, and you can kind of see it on my other nails that I haven't done yet. So you're going to let that dry completely, preferably about 10 minutes or so. As long as it's dry to the touch, then that's good. And also any shaping that you want to do to your nails, you need to do that beforehand as well. The next step that you're going to do is you're going to cut a small piece of lace out of the spool that you have, or however much. This is a pretty good size, and I'm going to go ahead and start cutting it a little bit because I know where I want it to start on my nail. Depending on the pattern of your lace, you can just put it on the nail, put it on your nail in different angles, just trying to see which way you like. Some people might even like the big flower, but I like the leaves better. So because I know that's what I like, I'm going to cut off this so that it doesn't show, because I'm going to start this net part, the net part of the lace, near the cuticle. So I just take my little scissors and cut it. Now if you're scared about the lace fraying, you could get some Fray Away, I think it's called, from Walmart. It's only $2 and maybe 36 cents. I actually got some, but my lace didn't fray as bad as I thought that it would. So looking at this, I see that, oh, camera got out of, there it is. Okay, so looking from this, I see that the big flowers are still going to be in the way, so I'm just going to tilt my design a little differently so that I can cut that out the way completely. See? So now I know that's where I want my design to land. And it's okay for the fabric to be this big because I'm going to show you how to cut it. And I cut it the same way on my hand that I'm going to cut it on this nail. So you need to take your brush-on glue. And this is a 5-second glue, so it dries fairly fast. So you don't want to move too slow. And you just brush it across the nail, like so. And then just gently place the lace onto the nail how you want it. And I suggest starting the fabric right at the cuticle so that it's not as hard to cut. And then you take your toothpick and you press down on the fabric and make sure it is secured. And if it doesn't work before the glue dries, you can always shift it. But be careful, again, you want to make sure that your polish is totally dry. And if not, you don't want to slide the fabric. You would more so want to pick it up and then place it back down, because sliding it would just smudge the polish and then it would come through the lace. So that is what we have, and that's what it looks like. So now we're going to add another coat of glue to secure it some more onto the nail. Now you could put however much of glue you would like. Sometimes I put a lot if the fabric is not adhering to it well. Or if it's not adhering to the fabric well, I should say. And some of your corners may pop up, so you just want to hold down the fabric for a few seconds with the toothpick. For example, here on my nails, I had to hold the toothpick right in between the nail and skin so that it laid flat, and I would hold it there for about 5 seconds on each side to make sure that it was flat. And make sure you screw your top back on your glue so that it doesn't dry up fast. So just continue to hold down the corners with that and let that sit for about a minute. Okay, after your minute, you're going to go ahead and start with the gel. And this is a lightless gel that you can also use on natural nails. For those who don't know, gel usually doesn't work out if you don't have acrylic on, but since this is made for natural nails, it's not gonna chip overnight. And usually that's what gel does if you don't have acrylic to hold it down as the base. But this kind, again, can be used on natural nails, and it gives you just a glossy shine. And you can see that on the first nail that I did, that it has that shine to it, as opposed to this, which is still matte, because the nail is actually going to get a matte finish from you putting the super glue on it. So you're going to take your gel and you start from the center of the nail and do a thin line. So a thin line down the middle, and then without squeezing, just spread out the gel across the nail. Again, don't squeeze the bottle anymore. Just spread out the gel across the nail. Now, if you're scared of wasting too much of lace, I would suggest leaving enough on the sides, or you could start the fabric at one corner of the nail and leave this much over here and cut the top down some. So after you spread the gel across the nail, next is that you want to spray it with the Cure spray. And make sure it is approximately 6 inches away, and make sure you're also in a well-ventilated area. So I'm going to move this away from the camera so that I can spray it and not get it on my table. And sometimes I kind of miss, so I spray twice to make sure I cover the whole nail, but it's just a light mist, and that's why you want to make sure you're far away from the nail. So you're going to let that set for 1 minute. That's all it takes. And sometimes I go back with my toothpick and touch over the nail to make sure that all the stuff is on there and that the lace is holding down to the nail properly. It only takes 1 minute, and if you notice on your hand, you'll feel the lace hardening up. So while that is still drying, I take my scissors and I start cutting off all of this excess material. But I don't get too close to my nail. I just cut off the excess while it's drying. I'm gonna let that sit for 1 minute as it hardens up.